Microwave meals promise convenience. Just heat and eat. But for seniors, these quick fixes can hide hidden dangers. From shocking sodium levels that spike blood pressure to preservatives that strain kidneys, the reality can betray trust. Today, we're revealing 7 microwave meals you should never touch, and 2 options that are actually safe and surprisingly wholesome. Starting our list of worsts with number 7, we've got Stouffer's lasagna, the supposed family classic that now comes with a health warning. At first glance, it looks harmless. The box shows bubbling cheese, red sauce clinging to pasta, and steam curling like a warm hug. You pull it out of the microwave, and the smell of tomato and melted mozzarella fills the room. It feels homemade. But take a closer look and you'll see the cracks, greasy puddles floating on top, soggy noodles stuck together, and a sodium bomb hiding beneath that cheesy surface. Stouffer's promises tradition in a tray. They market it as comfort food done right. But what you actually get is more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium in a single serving. That's not a side dish. That's 2/3 of the daily limit for adults according to the FDA. And for seniors on blood pressure or heart meds, that's a direct hit on your health. The FDA recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium in an entire day. Many doctors push even lower for seniors, closer to 1,500 milligrams daily. One tray of lasagna nearly maxes that out. Add in a snack or a cup of soup later, and you've gone over. That convenience meal just set you up for swollen ankles, spiking blood pressure, and added kidney strain. But sodium isn't the only problem. Inspectors have raised concerns about inconsistent cooking temperatures. Microwaves don't heat evenly, especially with dense foods like lasagna. That means some spots steam like lava, while others stay cold enough for bacteria to survive. Picture biting into one corner that's scorching hot, then hitting a middle layer that's lukewarm and slimy, the perfect hiding place for foodborne pathogens. A food inspector once noted how tricky it is to get frozen lasagna to safe temperatures in the center. That's not a minor detail. Seniors already have weaker immune systems, and surviving bacteria can mean serious infections. We're not talking about an upset stomach. We're talking hospitalization. The preservatives in Stouffer's lasagna add another layer of risk. To keep the shelf life long, chemical additives are used to stabilize the sauce and cheese. The greasy texture you see when it cools, that's not just fat. It's emulsifiers breaking down under heat, leaving behind a slick film that coats your mouth and stomach. For anyone with kidney issues, those additives are just more weight on an already struggling system, and the betrayal runs deeper. Many customers say the taste has changed over the years. More salt, less flavor. A staff forum even joked that Stouffer's is like eating a sponge dipped in tomato soup. It's sold as comfort food, but the reality is processed pasta with chemicals holding it together. Here's where it hits hardest. Seniors looking for an easy dinner may think they're choosing tradition. In reality, they're gambling with their health. Blood pressure spikes, bloating, kidney strain are all hidden in that red sauce. So skip the tray and go simple. Fresh lasagna kits let you build your own with low-sodium sauce and real cheese. Or even easier, layer whole-grain pasta with tomato, spinach, and a sprinkle of mozzarella. That way, you control the salt and cut the chemicals. If you're looking for convenience, some grocery stores now sell fresh prepped lasagna in the deli section with clear sodium labeling, a safer middle ground. What's the worst frozen pasta dish you've ever unwrapped? Did it look homemade but taste like hospital food? Drop your story in the comments. Stouffer's lasagna isn't the only healthy-looking microwave meal that hides a dark side. And if you thought greasy lasagna was bad, the next so-called lean option hides its own traps. Clocking in at number 6, we've got lean cuisine chicken alfredo, the angelic white sauce that brings a devil's bill. First whiff, creamy, buttery, comforting. The steam smells like a trattoria. The noodles glisten. The chicken looks neat and tidy. It seems indulgent without the guilt. That's the trick. The word lean whispers safety, but the label can't hide what your heart feels later. Lean on paper, heavy on your heart. Here's the split between promise and reality. The box sells a light dinner. The ingredient list tells another story. Sodium that nips at your daily limit, and flavor boosters that read like a chemistry set. Yeast extract, modified food starch, and cousins of MSG show up to force the cheesy punch your taste buds expect. You get the taste, but you also get the swell. Seniors report bloating, flushing, even fluttery heartbeats after salty, additive-packed meals. If you're on blood pressure meds or diuretics, that sodium can push numbers north fast. Numbers time. The FDA suggests keeping daily sodium under 2,300 milligrams, and many cardiologists ask seniors to stay closer to 1,500 milligrams. One lean tray can land you in the 700 to 900 milligram neighborhood before you add a side or a snack. Two trays? You're doing laps around your limit. And this white sauce doesn't stop at salt. It leans on thickeners to fake creaminess. The mouthfeel is plush for a minute, then a slick coat hangs on your tongue with a faint chemical echo. But here's the real shocker: heating plastics matters. Staff forums have swapped war stories about trays that weep or warp at the edges. Independent studies on food packaging show that high heat can shed microparticles, tiny flecks you never see, but your gut does. That's not me being dramatic. It's what happens when polymers and steam get too friendly. For seniors with sensitive digestion or kidney strain, that's one more invisible load to process. The sensory bait and switch is brutal. You break the film and a wave of Parmesan scent hits, buttery and bold. Stir it, and the sauce looks satin smooth. Then the aftertaste lands, a faint metallic prickle, like a spoon left too long in bleachy dishwater. Some bites are lukewarm, others scorch your tongue. That's classic microwave unevenness: safe temp at the edge, risky cool pockets in the center. Cut into a chicken cube and you can see the two worlds: surface steaming, core still shy of hot. Inspectors have warned for years that dense sauced meals are hard to heat evenly. The risk isn't just a May dinner, it's bacteria that never got the memo to leave. Creamy comfort or chemistry class? Let's talk body blow. Sodium swells your blood volume, which can raise pressure and force the heart to work harder. MSG-style boosters can set off headaches or palpitations in sensitive folks. Bloat pushes on the lower belly, making meds feel harsher. And if you're chasing lean for weight goals, the water retention can trick the scale and your joints. Knees and ankles don't care that the box said smart. They care about salt. So what do you do instead? Keep the alfredo vibe without the trap. Boil a handful of whole grain pasta. Toss with shredded rotisserie chicken breast, a splash of low-sodium broth, a spoon of Greek yogurt, black pepper, and grated real Parmesan. 10 minutes. Real protein, real calcium, less salt, no mystery thickeners. Or grab a glass-jarred sauce marked "no sugar added, low sodium" and stretch it with steamed cauliflower puree for creaminess. Same comfort, far less fallout. One more quiet risk: serving sizes. The tray looks substantial, but the portion can be small. Many people heat a second one. Now you've doubled everything: salt, additives, and the chance your microwave missed a cold pocket in either tray. If you've ever needed to nuke it again, you know the dance. Edges boiling, center still, meh. The longer you blast it, the more that packaging fights back. Ever peeled back the film and found sauce splashed into the seam, or a corner that collapsed? That's your sign to skip it. Comment below with the worst lean meal you've met. Did the tray buckle, or did the sauce taste weirdly fake? Want to stay ahead of food dangers and hidden risks? Hit subscribe now if you're watching on your TV. Grab the remote and click it, so you never miss the facts that could protect your health. Bottom line, the lean claim is the costume. Your body deals with the truth. Salted, thickened, and sometimes sitting in a flimsy tray that doesn't love high heat. If a meal needs this many tricks to taste rich, it isn't doing you favors. Seal this segment with a thought: it's not portion control if your heart pays the balance. Now brace yourself, because if chemicals in sauce weren't enough, the next one can actually hide deadly bacteria. Sliding into number 5, we've got Amy's Frozen Burritos, the organic halo snack that isn't as saintly as it looks. First impression: a warm tortilla smell wafts out of the microwave. The packaging screams organic, safe, natural. For seniors watching every bite, that word organic feels like a security blanket. But here's the catch: even the greenest label can hide dirty little secrets. Organic doesn't mean bacteria-free. Amy's has faced recalls, not for flavor flops, but for improper sealing that opened the door for bacteria. The FDA documented E. coli risks tied to storage and handling. That's not an abstract fear. It's a reality that landed burritos back on the recall list. And here's where it bites. E. coli infections don't just mean a rough stomach night. For seniors, it can trigger kidney infections and even hospital stays. What seems like a quick meal can turn into IV drips and antibiotics. Ever split one open? The outer tortilla can feel rubbery, stiff at the edges. Bite down, and the center is soggy, still cold, sometimes with a pocket of unmelted cheese. That's not just gross, it's bacteria's playground. Cold spots mean the microwave didn't kill off what was hiding. Inspectors have flagged this exact problem, noting how dense fillings trap cold patches even after full heating cycles. Think about the betrayal. You bought organic, thinking clean, safe, better for your health. The brand promises simple ingredients, nothing artificial, and yet the reality is a burrito that can leave you doubled over, fighting cramps. For anyone with high blood pressure or kidney strain, that stress doesn't just hit your stomach, it hits your whole system. Statistics drive it home. E. coli can cause serious illness in seniors over 65, with hospitalization rates higher than in younger adults. One CDC report linked undercooked or improperly stored foods to thousands of annual hospital visits. And yet, these burritos stay on shelves banking on that organic halo. Texture tells the truth. The tortilla can split at the seam, leaking mush onto the plate. The smell may be warm and earthy, but the mouthfeel shifts between gummy and grainy. That's not homemade comfort. It's factory shortcuts wrapped in a wheat blanket. That wholesome label won't protect your gut. So what's the alternative? Don't throw out burritos altogether. Just skip the frozen gamble. Head to a deli or local market that makes burritos fresh daily, or roll your own. Whole grain tortilla, beans, lean chicken or turkey, plus fresh veggies. Heat it fully in an oven or skillet, not a microwave. That way you control both flavor and food safety. Now, let's talk about you. Have you ever peeled back a frozen burrito only to find that cold, soggy core staring back? Did you eat it anyway or toss it in the trash? Drop your worst frozen burrito horror story in the comments. At the end of the day, Amy's sells trust. But trust breaks when recalls scream E. coli risk and inspectors shake their heads at uneven heating. Organic or not, your gut pays the price if the seal fails or the center stays cold. So you're not biting into clean eating, you're gambling with a soggy time bomb. And if that rubbery tortilla made you pause, the next pick is the king of uneven heating. Rolling in at number 4, we've got Hot Pockets pepperoni, the freezer snack that's equal parts nostalgia and danger. Pop one in the microwave, and the smell can take you right back to late-night snacks in your teens. Gooey cheese, crispy pepperoni, that handheld comfort you didn't even need a plate for. But comfort food for the young is a health trap for seniors. The packaging promises convenience. The reality? A chemical grenade wrapped in dough. Comfort food or chemical grenade? Let's start with the famous lava pocket problem. The outside scorches your lips, while the inside stays ice cold. Customers have filed complaints about blistered mouths, all while the center remained frozen solid. That's not just annoying, it's dangerous. Cold spots let bacteria survive. Inspectors note that uneven heating leaves behind organisms that can cause stomach illness. So instead of comfort, you get food poisoning and a burnt tongue in one bite. And then there's the sodium. One serving can carry up to 1,200 milligrams. For seniors on blood pressure meds, that's nearly an entire day's limit crammed into a single greasy pocket. The FDA's dietary guidelines recommend no more than 2,300 milligrams in a day, and cardiologists argue seniors should aim lower, closer to 1,500. Eat 2 of these and you're way over before dinner even hits the table. More salt than your blood pressure can handle. The greasy edges don't help. Pull one apart, and you'll see orange oil puddles staining the plate. The smell that's supposed to be pepperoni often reeks more like chemicals than cured meat. Preservatives such as BHA and BHT have been flagged in studies for kidney stress and potential long-term health risks. Yet Hot Pockets keeps pushing them as quick fuel. Fuel for what? Emergency room visits? Reports from staff forums mention complaints about the flimsy packaging trays. Some say they warp, leak, or break down under high heat, potentially letting plastic chemicals seep into the food. Ever notice that strange aftertaste in the sauce? That's not nostalgia, it's microplastic seasoning. Now think about who's eating these. Seniors who want something fast, easy, and filling. But instead of nourishment, they're gambling with high blood pressure spikes, kidney strain, and chemical additives that interact poorly with common meds. For anyone on heart or kidney medication, that's a dangerous mix hiding under melted cheese. So what's the fix? If you still want that handheld snack, skip the frozen aisle. A toaster oven reheats food more evenly, cutting the bacteria risk. Or better yet, swap processed pepperoni for fresh options. Whole grain pita stuffed with turkey, low-fat cheese, and veggies will give you flavor without the chemical cocktail. Have you ever burned your mouth on a Hot Pocket while the center was still frozen? Share your disaster stories. I bet they're worse than you think. At the end of the day, Hot Pockets sell comfort. But when the comfort leaves you with a burnt lip, a queasy stomach, and a blood pressure spike, it's not really comfort at all. You're not eating nostalgia, you're swallowing a greasy warning label. And because as bad as lava pockets sound, the next one takes factory failures to a whole new level. Landing at number 3, we've got Banquet meatloaf dinners, the hearty classic that feels more like a health trap. On the box, you see thick slices of meatloaf smothered in brown gravy, the steam rising, the promise of comfort, the image of a meal that fills you up without breaking the bank. But what you get in reality, a rubbery brick swimming in mystery sauce that could leave your body paying the price. Hearty on the box, harmful in the tray. Inspections have flagged Banquet facilities for safety failures. Reports cite undercooked meat slipping through lines and cross-contamination risks in factories trying to push volume. Factory insiders admitted rushed inspections, trays stacked, sealed, and frozen before anyone double-checked if the meat was fully cooked. That means bacteria can ride along from factory to freezer to your microwave. Take a bite and the texture tells on itself. Instead of soft, juicy meat, you get a dense, rubbery chew. Sometimes the gravy carries a stale smell, masking spoilage you can't see. Seniors with weaker immune systems are the ones most at risk. Spoiled or undercooked meat isn't just unpleasant. It can lead to serious illness, from salmonella to listeria. That gravy smell might be hiding something worse. Then there's the nutrition. A single Banquet meatloaf. Dinner can pack nearly half a day's worth of sodium. The FDA warns about 2,300 milligrams a day, but cardiologists tell seniors to aim closer to 1,500. This tray alone pushes you well into dangerous territory. Pair that with saturated fats, and suddenly hearty means higher blood pressure, more strain on the kidneys, and cholesterol numbers you don't want to see at your next checkup. Consumers have complained about opening trays only to find cold spots in the middle, even after the microwave beeped. That's the double danger. You think it's hot enough, but inside, bacteria could still be alive. The outer edges taste like scorched rubber, while the center stays lukewarm. Some customers compared it to chewing a tire dipped in gravy, more rubber than roast beef. The betrayal here is sharp. Banquet markets itself as affordable, filling comfort food. But instead of comfort, it gives you chemical preservatives, questionable meat, and risks that weigh heavily on seniors already balancing heart meds or kidney care. So what can you do? If you're craving meatloaf, skip the freezer aisle. Ground lean turkey or beef, oats instead of breadcrumbs, and fresh vegetables make a homemade meatloaf that's safer, tastier, and heart-friendly. Or, if you need fast, grab freshly prepared versions from a deli where you can actually see and smell the quality. Have you ever cut into a frozen meal and thought, is this even cooked? Would you still eat it or toss it? Drop your worst frozen dinner story in the comments. We want to know. At the end of the day, Banquet calls this a hearty meal. But hearty doesn't mean healthy, and it doesn't mean safe. You're not eating meatloaf, you're swallowing a rubbery gamble drowned in gravy. Now, if you thought spoiled meat was bad, the next one serves danger in oversized portions. Dropping in at number 2, we've got Hungry Man Turkey and Gravy, the supersized deal that's really a health disaster in disguise. One glance at that massive tray and you're fooled into thinking it's value for money. Turkey slices, mashed potatoes, stuffing, and a pool of brown gravy. It looks like a full holiday dinner, shrink-wrapped for your freezer. The promise? A filling meal that saves time. The truth? A sodium bomb wrapped in rubbery meat and storage risks that inspectors have been warning about for years. Hungry man? Sick man? Let's start with the numbers. The FDA says the average adult should stay under 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. Seniors with heart or kidney issues, doctors say closer to 1,500. A single Hungry Man turkey and gravy can blow past those limits in one sitting. Some trays have been clocked at 2,500 milligrams. That means your value meal maxes out your blood pressure allowance before you even grab dessert, and the portion size makes it worse. Supersized servings mean you're not just eating more turkey, you're swallowing more preservatives, more fat, and more sugar hidden in the gravy. It's like they turned Thanksgiving dinner into a science experiment, and you're the test subject. Big tray, bigger health bill. Inspector reports have cited mold growth in the very warehouses where these trays sit for months. Damp conditions, poor temperature control, even traces of listeria on storage racks. One whistleblower described it bluntly. Frozen doesn't mean safe if it's stored in a moldy box. Seniors with weakened immune systems are especially at risk. Listeria can trigger severe infections, and in some cases, hospitalization. Now, to the sensory betrayal. The gravy smells rich when it heats, almost like Sunday dinner, but cut into the turkey and it's dry, rubbery, and lifeless. The mashed potatoes often taste gummy, like paste, while the stuffing is more like a salty sponge. The smell tricks you into thinking you're eating something wholesome, but the bite tells the real story. Processed food that never knew a kitchen. And don't forget forget the preservatives. Studies have linked some of the additives in these trays to kidney stress. Combine that with the sodium spike, and you're creating a perfect storm for seniors already managing medication for high blood pressure or heart disease. One customer even complained that the meal tasted off, like freezer burn mixed with metal. That metallic aftertaste isn't nostalgia, it's a warning. So if you crave turkey and gravy, make a smaller portion at home. Roast lean turkey breast and thicken gravy with low-sodium broth. You'll cut the sodium in half, keep the flavor, and actually give your body something it can handle. Have you ever trusted a big portion meal only to regret every bite? Share your Hungry Man horror story below. I know plenty of you have one. At the end of the day, Hungry Man sells size, but size doesn't equal safety, and it definitely doesn't equal health. You're not eating a holiday dinner, you're choking down a moldy science project in a plastic tray. Supersized fooled you? Wait until you see how the word natural hides the dirtiest trick of all. Finally, at number 1, we've got Evol mac and cheese, the so-called natural comfort food that's anything but. On the surface, it's the perfect picture. Golden noodles bathed in gooey sauce, the kind of dish that makes your kitchen smell like comfort itself. You peel back that film, and the steam hits you with a cheesy aroma that screams indulgence. But bite in, and the promise collapses. What you're tasting isn't nature. It's a lab experiment sold as dinner. Natural? More like naturally risky. Let's start with the branding betrayal. Evol markets this as wholesome, simple, and made right. But hidden inside those creamy clumps are preservatives, chemical stabilizers, and sodium levels that would make your doctor panic. Some batches even failed microbiological testing, which means bacteria survived the process and stayed tucked into your tray. For seniors, that's more than disappointing. It's dangerous. The FDA has already admitted there is no safe level of lead for kids. So why are natural frozen meals allowed to pass microbiological failures and still hit shelves? Reports from consumer watchdogs have flagged Evol for sloppy oversight. Customers described metallic tastes and strange bitterness after eating the mac and cheese. That bitter aftertaste isn't just unpleasant, it's a flashing red light, golden glow outside, rotten truth inside. Here's where it gets personal. Seniors on heart or blood pressure medication are especially vulnerable to the sodium spike. The daily limit should hover near 1,500 milligrams. Evol's mac and cheese? It can push you over in one tray. That means higher blood pressure, fluid retention, kidney stress, and an increased risk of stroke. Add in chemical additives, and you're throwing gasoline on an already fragile system. Cut into it, and you'll often find clumpy, glue-like cheese. The sauce looks glossy but clings in rubbery patches. The texture is gummy, not creamy. Instead of comfort, it's closer to paste. One former lab tech admitted, some samples failed microtests. They die on my tests. They shouldn't have been shipped. Think about that the next time you see the word natural on the box. And the smell? Sure, it greets you like melted cheddar. But wait a few minutes, and there's a faint chemical tang that lingers in the air. Not exactly grandma's recipe. So skip the frozen lie. Cook a quick pot of whole grain pasta at home. Use real cheese, low-sodium broth, and fresh spices. You'll save your kidneys, protect your heart, and actually enjoy the taste. Or buy from brands that publish transparent sourcing and pass strict European-level safety checks. As Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has pointed out, food safety standards are often stricter overseas than what slips through in U.S. markets. Comment, hook. Have you ever bought a natural frozen meal and realized it tasted more like chemicals than food? Share your worst one in the comments. I bet Evol won't be the only culprit. At the end of the day, Evol sells an image of wholesome indulgence, but in reality, it delivers clumps of overprocessed noodles in a chemical sauce that can leave seniors sicker, not safer. You're not eating mac and cheese, you're spooning up a bitter, salty lie. That wraps up the worst offenders, but stick around, because I've got 2 frozen options actually worth your time. Now, for our first safe pick, we've got Saffron Road Indian-style frozen meals. Finally, a frozen dinner that doesn't stab you in the back. Open one of these trays, and instead of that stale freezer stench, you're met with warm waves of cumin, coriander, and turmeric. The spices smell alive, not chemical. The sauces look rich and colorful, not faded or gummy. It's the first time in this countdown where the food actually resembles, well, food. Finally, a frozen meal you don't have to fear. Here's the difference. Saffron Road built its reputation on using natural ingredients. That means real chickpeas, lentils, vegetables, and meats raised without antibiotics. The sodium? Way lower than the monsters we've just covered. Most trays sit under 600 milligrams per serving. Compare that to Hungry Man blasting past 2,300 milligrams in one meal. For seniors, that's a life-saving difference. The FDA warns that excess sodium spikes blood pressure and stresses the kidneys. These meals don't push you over that line. They give you flavor without forcing your heart to work overtime. That's not marketing spin. It's backed by consistent inspections and certifications. Unlike the brands with moldy warehouses and failed microbiological tests, Saffron Road passes audits with clean marks. Flavor without the blood pressure bomb. Let's talk health benefits. Seniors often juggle medications for blood pressure, heart health, or kidney support. Throwing a sodium grenade like Banquet meatloaf on top of that is risky. But a portion of chickpea masala or chicken tikka masala from Saffron Road actually supports balance. High in protein, moderate in calories, and made with fiber-rich ingredients, these meals fill you up without knocking you down. One nutritionist even pointed out that the spices themselves, turmeric, ginger, garlic, carry natural anti-inflammatory benefits. Instead of chemical preservatives, you're getting seasonings that humans have cooked with safely for centuries. Try finding that in a greasy Hot Pocket. The rice is fluffy, not clumpy. The sauces cling smoothly instead of separating into oily puddles. The smell? It lingers in the kitchen like you actually cooked something real. Seniors deserve food that comforts, not food that tricks. Have you ever been surprised that a frozen meal actually tasted better than takeout? Which one shocked you the most? So what's the fix here? If you've been leaning on high-sodium value meals because you thought all frozen dinners were equal, Saffron Road shows a better path. Stock a few of these in your freezer. They're proof that convenience doesn't always come with a hidden medical bill. This isn't a sodium bomb in disguise. It's proof that frozen can be safe, flavorful, and actually worth eating. And before you swear off frozen entirely, here's another meal that earns a spot on your plate. And wrapping up with our second safe pick, we've got Healthy Choice Power Bowls, the rare frozen meal that actually lives up to its promise. Pop the lid, and you're greeted with a blast of color. Bright greens, deep oranges, and grains that don't look like they've been trapped in a freezer for years. The smell is equally reassuring. Roasted veggies, seasoned lean proteins, and whole grains give off an aroma that feels closer to a home-cooked dinner than a chemical trap. The rare bowl that lives up to its promise. Healthy Choice Power. Bowls are packed with fiber-rich vegetables and lean proteins like grilled chicken or black beans. Instead of drowning in preservatives and sodium, these bowls are designed to nourish. The average sodium content is usually under 600 milligrams, a far cry from the 1,200 to 2,300 milligrams found in meals like Hot Pockets or Hungry Man. That means seniors can enjoy a full portion without blowing past the FDA's daily sodium recommendations in one sitting. And unlike so many brands that cut corners, Healthy Choice meals are inspected thoroughly. Reports confirm that these products consistently meet food safety standards. No mold in frozen warehouses, no failed microbiological tests, no oops recalls over improper sealing. It's the kind of consistency we should expect but so rarely see. Real food, not freezer-burned lies. Let's talk health. Seniors juggling blood pressure meds or kidney concerns need meals that work with them, not against them. The fiber in these bowls helps regulate digestion and stabilize blood sugar. The lean protein keeps you full without stressing the heart. And because the meals skip heavy preservatives, they're easier on kidneys already working overtime. It's the exact opposite of the clumpy cheese or rubbery meat we've just exposed. Now, the sensory test. The vegetables still have a bite, not that mushy gray texture you expect from freezer meals. The grains are nutty, not soggy. Even the sauces feel balanced, coating the food instead of pooling into oily corners. For once, what you see on the box is pretty close to what you get on the plate. And here's the best part. These bowls make it easy to swap out the harmful stuff. Tired of greasy lasagna that spikes your blood pressure? Grab a power bowl instead. Sick of oversized value meals that leave you bloated? These give you portion control without making you feel starved. Have you ever been surprised that a healthy frozen meal actually delivers on taste and safety? Drop your pick below. Maybe it's a power bowl, maybe it's not. The fix here is simple. Don't settle for gimmicks. Reach for meals that actually prioritize your health. Healthy Choice Power. Bowls aren't perfect, but compared to the sodium bombs and bacterial time bombs on this list, they're the safer bet. You're not eating chemicals in disguise, you're getting a balanced bowl that your doctor wouldn't glare at. So yes, there are safe picks, but you have to know where to look. Don't risk your health on bad choices. Subscribe now, and I'll show you what to avoid and what's actually safe every single week.